Parents of Reddit, what's your best example of reversed psychology on your kids that actually worked? My wife used to tell the kids that I didn't want them to try new things because I didn't want to share it with them. Sometimes they'd like it and I'd make a big deal out of it about having to share with them. Sometimes they'd say, "This one is all yours, Dad. You win some, you lose some," but at least they would typically try things this way. No, you cannot take this after school science extracurricular activity. They have robots, lasers, explosions, and other dangerous stuff like that. Well, sign me up too. I don't know if it was truly reverse psychology or an exhausted response out of desperation. We were in the grocery store checking out. Kid was 3, and the meltdown started and quickly became an on-the-floor tantrum. I looked down and said, louder than normal, but not yelling, "Where is your mother? We need to find your mom." She was startled, because I am her mom, and confused. But the tantrum ended quickly, and with hugs. If you can't console them, confuse them. My mom would tell me she only lets me eat soup after candy and she'd only buy me candy that I didn't like. After a few times, I stopped trying and begged her to let me eat soup first. She gave me a smirk and told me go ahead. This doesn't sound as evil as it was, but trust me, I suffered. When I was in 5th grade, I won the DARE medal and got to speak at DARE graduation. When I showed my mom the medal, she laughed and said, "Oh, that's cute. We'll see how you feel about drugs in high school." That pee me off to no end. So I never did drugs, just to prove my mom wrong. Or mom was just really cool and letting you know. I have a 3.5-year-old. He picked up the word frick. Anytime he said it, I would calmly walk over, grab a fork, and bring it to him. After a few times, he thought he was just mispronouncing the word and dropped it altogether. Mum had sworn a bit around the house when while out at the supermarket, I said the F word really loudly, very quickly and intently. She asked if I had just said truck and said that was a bad word and not to ever say truck like that again. I thought that was the bad word, so used that when being naughty. When my niece was 5, she thought that word shoot, as in oh shoot, was a bad word. She chastised her dad whenever he said it around her. He'd apologize. I remember when she said shoot around me and she thought she was in trouble. My child was reluctant when it came to putting away toys. However, he loves timed tasks and is very competitive. I'd instruct my child to put away all the red toys as fast as possible, then blue, then green, etc. Toys away. At my high school, private, boys only, in the 1960s, they made a big deal about how long your hair was, and would occasionally order a boy to go home and get a haircut. I thought it was stupid, until years later, a master confided to me at a reunion that the policy was deliberate. The school figured we'd spend so much energy rebelling about hair length that we would ignore other aspects of teenage rebellion. Not surprisingly, they were mostly right. Dang, that's smart. Whoa. My uncle used to say, "Quick, before I give you $1, we would all run like mad to do whatever it was." I've used this on my kids and the look of confusion on their faces is all worthwhile. The cycle continues. Wanted to name my boat. Anything I would think of was dismissed as stupid by my 13-year-old son. After deciding on a name, I confided to a male friend my son liked. Made my friend suggest the name as though it was his idea. My son thought the name was perfect. Done. Teenagers are frickin' stupid. Source: was a frickin' stupid teenager. At around 5 years old, our adopted son was mad about something and snapped, "You're not my real parents." We both laughed, and we never heard that line again. I did something like that as a kid. I was incredibly mad at my mom for something and said something along the lines of, "I'm adopted, I just know it." Spoiler: I'm not adopted. My mom then turned to me and said, "Right, like I would choose you." My mom had a friend that would put vegetables on her own plate and not the kids. When the kids asked, she would be reluctant to share. That's grown-up food, but I suppose I can let you have a little. Her kids grew up loving vegetables. I sat at the dinner table for 3 hours staring at the yucky cauliflower I refused to eat. My son was really impulsive when he was little and would try to run away from me when we would be crossing streets instead of holding my hand. So I started to tell him that he needed to hold my hand so nobody would try to steal me. It worked. He felt responsible for making sure nobody tried to kidnap me out in public. So I started to tell him that he needed to hold my hand so nobody would try to steal me. Oh my god, that's cute. My mum would always yell at us if you don't do X. You have to go to bed without socks. I never wore socks anyway, and I'm ashamed to admit that this worked. That would work really well on my son, or make him cry for a really long time. He's 3 and over the last few weeks has decided that he is fully unable to sleep without socks on. My parents always told me my broccoli were the flowers of the queen and that I really shouldn't eat them, or else the queen would get very upset. I, of course, ate the whole broccoli in a few seconds. I'm telling the queen and she's gonna be pee. I don't so much know if you would call it reverse psychology, but I didn't realize it until my dad told me this. When there were chores that needed doing, he noticed if he asked me to mow the lawn, I would complain and procrastinate. But if he asked would I rather mow the lawn or wash the windows, I'd pick one and just get it done. Shattered my brain when he told me when I was in my 20s. I use it when I'm coaching or babysitting all the time and it almost never fails. My 10-month-old daughter believes that falling over and hurting herself is a featuring to be celebrated with a dance and clapping. She's going to be a great skateboarder one day. Hi, I was a victim. There was a forbidden book that I was not allowed to read on the shelf. My parents said I could only read it if I behaved myself. It was summer holidays and I was playing games all day. After 6 hours of summer homework, one day I was home alone and had the opportunity to grab it. I read like half of it in one go. It was 5,000 years of Chinese history. Safe to say I was bamboozled. Grammar. Best I saw was when the kid would never bother to take out the trash. The dad said it was fine and he'd do it, and that he was sorry for thinking the kid was mature enough to be responsible for anything. Really made him feel like a baby, and a week later he started taking the trash out without being asked. OMG. This is like what my dad would do. Ask us to do something, and if it didn't get done right away he would just silently get up and get it done and make us feel terrible about not getting on it first. I work with toddlers and sometimes if they fall down or get hurt then I'll clap and cheer and tell them wow that was so cool. They smile and get up instead of crying and continue playing. I only do this when they fall and pause thinking if they should cry or not. Growing up we never had soft drinks, soda, in the house. My mum would on a rare occasion buy Diet Coke for herself and tell my brothers and I www yuck why would you want this black drink? To this day I think Coke is disgusting and it hurts my teeth. That's what our mum did with us. It worked till we were 10 or so. I've done this one with tens of kids. Anytime a kid gets hurt, falls down on grass, gets gently hit in the face with a ball, etc. Instead of stopping the activity to pick the kid up and see if they're okay you just scoot them off to the side and resume. Within 10 seconds of not getting all the attention and seeing the fun is resuming they pop right back up and are magically healed. This of course is only for the injuries that aren't actually injuries. Twice a year I'll let the kids eat whatever they want and do whatever they want. It ends up being a lot of junk food. The first maybe 3 times they ate so bad a few of them threw up. They now regulate themselves much better and choose quality snacks over quantity. Hahaha we call that day yes day and so far they are so stinkin' tame. I'm over here suggesting cake for breakfast and all they want is pancakes. We make pancakes every dang weekend. The craziest we've gotten is letting them stay up as late as they want. So, 10 PM. As a former kid, the best reversal my mom ever did was to get me to eat liver, which I hated. So she came up with this dish called revel, with onions, and served it, and I wolfed it down glad to not have to eat liver. It took me years to realize what was going on, not because I was dumb, but I never expected to be fooled on this and not in such a cheap, underhanded way. Spell it backwards, all you did was rename it, and it worked. Mom. Damn it. RIP mom. I still make my own revel now and then just to reminisce. So I work at a day camp during the summer, and whenever a kid gets hurt or something, I always joke around and say alright, Kid's name. Am I gonna have to call an ambulance? Docs. Go to cut the limb right there. Just cut it off. Works every time. Gets them laughing. Joking about amputation is always a winner with kids. Potty training son. He just turned 3. He is proving harder and more stubborn than his sister was. When I put on his diaper, I say diapers are for little babies. Let's go put on you little baby diaper on. He says I am not a baby. Well, big boys go on the potty. He's on day 5 with no diapers during the day. That's almost how my mom potty trained my sister. My sister was turning 2 and my mom told her that she went to the store to buy diapers and the man at the store said that sis was getting old for diapers. Boom. She potty trained herself in a day. My dad used to say that when the ice cream truck was playing music it meant he had run out of ice cream. Wait, that's not reverse psychology. That's just freaking lying, Dad. My parents skipped the middleman and just straight up told us that was the music truck. Fortunately, we have an uncle with a conscience. My wife was feeding our son, a year old, and he would refuse to eat his baby cereal, but wanted to eat the yogurt I was eating. So I took the spoonful of baby cereal and made it look like I scooped it out of the yogurt container. He ate it up happily. This was an ex of mine. His mom told him and his sister that whenever they were out on public, that they had to make sure she wasn't kidnapped. So these 2 kids would follow their mom around and never lose sight of her, fearing that she would be abducted. Guess which kids never got lost? My brother is special needs and we tell him to keep an eye on this person so they don't get lost. I wish I could say it always works, but we've still managed to lose track of him a lot. He's finally doing a bit better. I used to tell my little toddlers that if they were fibbing, a black dot would appear on their tongue to their mother. So if I suspected a lie, I'd just say, stick out your tongue. If they kept tight-lipped, I knew I was right. They are teenagers now and laugh about how they fell for this for years. I pulled a version of Tom Sawyer painting the fence and tricking his friends into doing it for him. I wouldn't let my kids, 3 and 5, pick up the dog poop in our yard because it was too fun for me, and I still pretend to be reluctant to let them do it. To where they're begging and I'm like, okay, just this one time. Next time I get to do it I think I can ride it out for another 2 or 3 years if I keep my older son quiet so his sister can take over when he catches on. All 3 of my kids were allowed one stir-fry ingredient that they didn't have to eat more than 3 pieces of. 1 chose pineapple, 1 chose tomato, and 1 chose carrot. They were allowed to choose a different ingredient for next time, but never before the meal. They would eat their 3 pieces, and I'd eat the rest if they found more in the meal. Worked perfectly, everyone felt empowered. It wasn't until they were all grown up and had left home that I told them that whatever else I used in the stir fry, those 3 items were guaranteed. They now eat everything. I don't get it. My wife's aunt does one that works almost all the time. If they fall or bump something and get an owie, that is something minor, she just up and goes, oh no, what did you do to the insert object that was hit fallen on? They usually get concerned about the table or the floor like they hurt it more than they hurt themselves. I was shocked when she did that and my son had the look of oh crap, are you okay on his face and forgot he ran face first into the door frame. Child here, but still a great example. Once when my parents were having a party, I got a bad case of hiccups. After a while my dad whipped out his wallet and pulled out a $100 bill. I was probably 12 so that was a fortune to me. He said if I hiccuped again I could have the money. Standing there, a ton of adult eyes watching to see if I'd do it, and not a single hiccup came out. I was cured and pee. My kids went through a phase where they were miserable about every activity we tried to take them to. So we started telling them that we wanted them to have a miserable time at the zoo, and that they weren't allowed to have fun. It worked. I do this all the time. My kids start whining and crying and I use an evil villain voice saying good, cry more, I want you to be unhappy. Then they will gang up on me and start shouting FUNNN we are having fun mom. Whenever my coworker would feed any sort of meat to her kids, it was chicken. Because they wouldn't eat anything but chicken. Piece of steak, it's chicken. Pork, it's chicken. Chicken, it's chicken. My 3-year daughter sometimes doesn't want to climb the stairs to our room and wants me to carry her. saying don't know how to climb. When she does it I say show me how you don't know, and she climbs few steps to show me how she can't. We repeat that until she's upstairs. How come you climbed it all if you don't know how, I ask afterwards. I guess I knew, she answers. I learned this thing called the OK trick while working in a call center. You ask someone a question and follow it up with OK. People tend to respond to a positive with a positive. So calls would go like this. Me. Well, we'll have to terminate this account, then have you reopen one to add your card back in. Okay. Customer. Okay. Found out that this works super well on children. Me. Hey bud. 5 more minutes and then it's time for bed. Okay, bud. Okay. This literally happened just last night. My 3-year-old daughter didn't want to get ready for bed. This is how it went down. Me. K. Time to go to bed. Daughter, I don't want to go to bed. Let's play a game instead. Me. No, it's too late. Daughter, please. I'm not tired. Me. Alright, let's see who can get ready for bed the fastest. Daughter, thinks about it for a few seconds. No, that's not a game. Me. In a really excited voice. No, seriously. Let's see who can get ready the fastest. I bet I will beat you. Daughter gets a huge grin on her face. No you won't. Let's go. And she races me up the stairs and gets her pajamas on and brushes her teeth faster than ever. Hopefully this one will work again in the future. She is awkwardly competitive about a lot of things and like to treat most things as a race. We have to tell her all the time that everything is not a race. Probably not helping using this tactic above, but whatever. I won't lie, I would have pretended to sabotage her getting ready so she would try even harder to get it done as fast as possible. I use it a lot on my kids, but by far my favorite is telling them they aren't allowed to smile when they're grumpy. Hey, no smiling. I see that. Don't you dare do it. Stop smiling. Even make it a competition to see who can hold the grumpy face the longest. Gets them out of their mood within minutes every time. Actually comforting my daughter when she's acting a fool over not getting her way. I know a lot of people crap on this because whatever, but seriously, she still doesn't get what she wants and I don't rush to her. I stay with her when she tantrums and after a few seconds she runs to me for a hug. I grab her up and it gives us the chance to talk through why she isn't getting her way and how she can deal with it better than tantruming. I get hella compliments on how well behaved my kid and I'm 100% convinced it's because of little things like this. So many people told me I should let her tantrum it out in the other room. Nah man. Have a little compassion and talk to your kids like they're actually human. Crap works. Research has shown that is the best behavior management strategy. Acknowledging children's feelings and telling them it's okay to have them is so helpful to their social emotional development. Not a parent, but my little sister hates putting her toys in their box after playing. So yesterday, instead of telling her to do so, I went into her room, started putting the toys away, and told her I was winning because I was putting the toys in the box faster than she was. She ended up putting all of her toys in the box in about 3 minutes. She did call me a loser at the end, but I think it was worth it. When I was a toddler, I had cancer and had to spend a lot of time in a children's hospital. My floor was basically one big circle of windowed rooms on the outside with a big nurse's station in the middle so they could keep an eye on everything. Getting up and walking was very important to my recovery, so my parents would encourage me to take a lap with them around the nurse's station. I was usually tired, and also an uncooperative toddler, so I was less than enthusiastic about it. My parents would get me to walk with them about 3/4 of the way around the nurse's station, then ask if I wanted to turn around and go back to my room. Being a dumb kid, I always thankfully agreed. And that's how my parents used reverse psychology to get me to do 1.5 laps instead of just one. My daughter was struggling with some math homework in 2nd grade. I was trying to help her, but she was just getting frustrated and giving up without even trying. So I took her worksheet and said, "Let me see if I can figure this out." I looked at it for a few seconds, started to make some marks on the paper, then erased them, looked at the paper again and then acted like I was frustrated too. But then I decided to one-up her frustration by putting my head down, fake crying, fake tears, the whole 9 yards. It was a performance for the ages. My daughter, being incredibly empathic, immediately said, "It's okay daddy, you're not stupid. I'll show you how to do it." I lifted my head up, dried my tears and proceeded to let my daughter teach me how to do 2nd grade math. Turns out she knew more than she was letting on, but was either just tired or being lazy. Math is now one of her strongest subjects and she actually enjoys doing it. I wanted to get my kids to do chores for the appreciation of hard-earned money. The weekly allowance was $5, which didn't motivate anyone to try hard on their chores. I now give them $20 a week, but they have to pay $5 in rent, $5 for internet, and $5 for food. So now that they get to hold it and spend it, they bust about doing chores for their huge $20 allowance. Stupid kids. That is great because now they feel like they're contributing to the things they need to. It sounds like an even better way for them to appreciate earning money. Well done. Although it will be interesting to see how the conversation goes if they decide they're not getting their money's worth in services. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.